lights.
I like the little blurry factor.
Yeah, it looks like
on.
you have like 8 inches of dust on your camera.
It kind of looks like he's like a romantic film. Like, ooh, here he comes in the sunlight.
Classic.
Am I clearer now? It's
The
focusing. Hello there.
Vintage Doug.
Yes, the even older school than I already am. Hey, my camera looks good now. All I had to do was put my finger. Maybe one of the kids was touching the freaking thing. I don't know.
You're also live.
Yeah.
That's fine. I don't care. I'm turning my light up.
Wow, you look so much better, Doug.
Hey. Yeah. All right. Let's light this lamp, as the kids say. Hold on. Let me take a look.
They say
at
that?
I was gonna say, is that really what they say?
Sorry, I'm trying to be cool dad again. You know.
Oh, turn it off, dude. We suck
I
at that.
gotta take a shot. My bad.
It's okay. We'll cut that.
Yeah, we'll cut that. Welcome back to the Dynasty Happy Hour, episode number 317. I missed out on it last week. I would have made a Stone Cold Steve Austin 316 joke, but here we are.
Missed opportunity.
A missed opportunity, as the cool kids say.
You were gone last week?
No,
No, we
not
just didn't
gone.
pay attention that it was 316.
I didn't pay attention that it was 316.
Oh.
DHA just said, I kicked your ass. That's what I would have done, but yeah, so be it. So, yes, welcome back in. I am here, as always, with my boy James, my boy Tyler, and this is the last Sunday until February without NFL football. And,
God.
guys, I'm pretty excited right now. I'm not going to lie. I've already got next Sunday's plans. You know, the kids and I and the wife are going to Six Flags. We had some friends that are like, can you move it to Sunday? Not football fans. And I'm like, no. I said, it's a national holiday to me where I sit on a couch. I get up to go to the bathroom and get a drink, and I sit back down on a couch for 7+ hours. And that's my plan.
Well, eating
for next
good
Sunday.
food. Well, eating good
Healthy food. Such healthy food.
Celery sticks and some hummus, maybe.
Yep, that's it. I'm only going to eat healthy. There will be no steak
Guacamole
and cheese and onion
with a
rings
spoon.
involved. No, none of that. None
Zero
of that
carb,
garbage food.
0 carb Sunday, right?
Yeah, so that's I am excited. It's, you know, I'm starting to well, in my dynasty rosters, I set my lineups a few weeks ago to see what I needed. But now I'm setting lineups for real. I've got my home redraft league on Wednesday, the day before the season kicks off. No pressure. Up in New Hampshire. I am having lots of fun. James, what is new in Jersey?
I don't know. I have no idea what's
Fair
new.
answer.
I've been living under a rock, grinding as usual. Got to the beach this weekend. That was great, and looking forward to having tomorrow off. That's it.
Yeah, buddy.
That's
Do
it
some
for
day
me.
gaming tomorrow. It's going to be rainy here in Rhode Island. We had a party today. We originally planned it for tomorrow, and then we had to move it because of the weather. So a friend of mine, by the way, I don't know if you guys ever experienced Downey Cider by chance?
Nope.
It's amazing. If you ever see it, get some. And my friend went to the cider house yesterday. It's in Boston. And they got white slushy, which is only served at the cider house. And they came today with a half keg of it. So it was lit all day long here in the Eddie household. It was, my father-in-law was like, I don't like cider, but this is amazing. And I'm like, So yeah, Downey Cider, shout out to you. Maybe sponsor a podcast or two. Just saying. Tyler, what's new in Minnesota? Are you feeling Minnesota?
Football this week. Hey, NFL fans, let's ride.
Also, Go Noles beating LSU right now. Hey. And they're not good. Neither team. But that's fine.
I caught some of that Arkansas Cincinnati game yesterday. Only because I had a strange bet on.
You know, Desmond Ridder doesn't play for them anymore, right?
Yeah, I know. I was really upset. I did not see him on the field, and I think they would have won if he
they had
was
him
on the field. Yeah,
fair. You know, it's so fun side story. I don't really watch much college football outside of Florida State, and I took over a team in an auction format run by John Bosch, which is a lot of fun. And he's like, hey, do you want to take over this team? We'd love to have you in the league. I'm like, sure. I looked at the roster. I'm like, ooh, this roster is pretty good. Lamar Jackson, Trevor Lawrence, like lots of other good pieces. And I noticed that I had a Devi player, and it's the Alabama running back. Bibbs?
Yeah.
Gibbies? Yeah, he's on my team. So I checked his stats, and I was like, oh. And then I started to read about him, and I'm like, oh.
He's 102 or 103 next year. And in a super flex, it's probably like 105.
Yeah, so I was like, oh,
fair.
This kid's on my team, Devi. He signed for like 5 years. I was like, cool.
I love how
pretty
it
stoked
comes
about
full
that.
circle right out of college into the NFL.
Mhm.
Foreseeing the 2023 class already.
Already, absolutely. And then we get it all wrong, and it's fun.
Yeah.
So just before we kick it off, I want to let you guys know we are brought to you once again by Fantasy Points. It is not too late. I have a draft on Wednesday, the day before the season. There's people drafting leagues. This is the most popular redraft weekend of the year, but there are going to be leagues that are going to be drafted on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Heck, there might even be leagues that are drafted on Thursday before kickoff. Wouldn't surprise me. So if you go on Fantasy Points right now and you need an inside edge, you can use code DHH22 to get 10% off a Fantasy Point subscription. And it's not just about a draft kit. They have an analytic-powered draft tool, but they also have support throughout the whole season, whether you're running waivers, you're looking for ad drop advice, anything. It's on Fantasy Points, and 90% of the subscribers made the playoffs in 2020 and 2021. So that sounds like a pattern. So if you subscribe and get that 10% off with Coach DHH22, chances are you're going to make the playoffs. It's the lowest price in the industry. If you like to play DFS, or maybe your season's gone to crap, which is unlikely if you use Fantasy Points, but you never know. DFS optimizers on there as well if you want to play on Underdog, which we'll talk about later, or you maybe play some DraftKings like I do. It's all on there, and it is awesome. FantasyPoints.com. If you're watching this on YouTube, give us a like and subscribe. If you're watching it on Facebook, wherever you might be watching it, like and subscribe on YouTube. Support the channel. It would mean the world to us. Please and thank you in advance. So this week, we are talking about hating the hype. Players that were sleepers that are well known now. And are we selling before week one? Players that didn't live up to preseason potential, are they buys? We're going to talk about it tonight with James, Tyler, and myself. Before we get to the main feature of this episode, though, we do have some news. You know, it's a strange 10-day stretch from the last preseason game until kickoff. So there's been some news going on here. And, the rosters got trimmed down to 53, right, James?
Oh, yeah.
And I'll tell you,
pretty deep.
Cut pretty deep. There might have been a little blood. Who knows? But I can tell you when you trim and you cut and you're not looking for blood, there's only one thing that you can go with, and that is Manscaped, my friends. The best in men's grooming. Proper grooming requires precision engineered tools. Not only does a man's sensitive areas require it, but hygiene demands it. Manscaped has the right tools for the job. Awesome, awesome product. I am loving my new Lawnmower 4.0. I'm at the age, I'm 44 years old. I do get those hairs in my ears and my nose. It now includes the Weed Whacker, which is a nose and ear trimmer, which is perfect for me. I absolutely love it. The Lawnmower is awesome. It's quiet. It holds a charge for a long time. It's got a light on it. So if you're trying to get the very delicate hairs and you can't see up in your areas, they got you covered. Skin safe technology. It's waterproof. It is an absolute awesome, awesome product. Now, not only that, but you also get the crop preserver if you need some deodorant on the old danglies, crop cleanser for washing up, and a crop reviver for some spray. So if you might be getting lucky and there might be some action in that area, bam, a little bit of spray, make it smell so nice, make her want to be down there is all I'm saying. So choose Manscaped for all your grooming needs. Use code DHH for 20% off at checkout. Manscaped, your balls will shake your hand and thank you for it if they could. So let's get into some news. There's a big one today, and it's something that I've talked about before on this very podcast, and it revolves around the Rams. So ESPN's Dan Graziano believes that Rams quarterback Matthew Stafford's throwing arm elbow injury could be an issue all season long. The Rams have, of course, downplayed the injury because in the NFL, everyone downplays everything. He sat out for this preseason for the second straight year. Stafford's week one status isn't in doubt. It looks like he's going to play. They play on Thursday night, I believe. How healthy he is and if a setback risks are the concerns. The Rams are expected to manage Stafford's practice schedule, but they're going to leave the potential for this, to something that costs him games down the line. I've downgraded the Rams offense. We talked about it on the Hot Take episode where I said none of the Rams are going to live up to their ADP in Dynasty, not only because of Stafford's arm, which I think where there's smoke, there's fire here, but also because that offensive line is absolutely putrid. And I think that's going to be an issue too. I don't think, if his arm has an injury, it may not affect Cooper Kupp much. Maybe Tyler Higbee lifts up a little bit, but I'd be concerned over Allen Robinson, Van Jefferson, Tutu Atwell. Tyler, what do you think about this Matt Stafford injury? I know last year we went through this with Dak Prescott and his shoulder, right? And there was concerns about his shoulder. when he wasn't throwing in preseason. I don't know if it's like that, but an elbow to me seems a little bit more serious. We remember what happened with Big Ben with his elbow injury, and it kind of sapped a lot of his power. Stafford's a little bit younger, a little bit better shape, obviously. But Tyler, what's your spin on this Matthew Stafford situation?
For me personally, I think they'll monitor it, and if it does get serious, I think they will act on it. Matt Stafford, we all know he's really good friends with Clayton Kershaw, who probably knows all about elbow injuries and the whole entire aspect of an elbow injury. So that could help out Stafford in a way. And I think Stafford knows that it's nothing to be messed with because he's friends with Clayton Kershaw. So for me, I'm okay with it. It is worrisome for dynasty aspect because of his age, and this injury could cause long-term issues because we all know, like, hey, torn ACL, it's 9 to 10 months, but an elbow injury like Tommy John, they still haven't really figured out the medical, advances. So it's still like a year and a half for an injury like that. I know Big Ben came back from kind of a similar injury earlier, but he wasn't the same. So if this does cause long-term issues, that's what I'm worried about. So for dynasty, I think I'm okay with trading Stafford for Cousins, maybe doing a straight up switch. But yeah, I'm worried dynasty wise. But when it comes to redraft or anything, I mean, you're just hoping that you play week by week, and if you need to swap them out, hopefully you got a backup plan. But yeah, dynasty, I'll try to get out.
Fair enough. What do you think, James, on Matt Stafford?
I mean, he's signed until 2025, so I'm not really that overly concerned. I'm sorry, 2026. My apologies. So I think it's okay. Even if he does have surgery, I think he'll bounce back. And I think he does have the weapons around it. I think he's going to stick it out this year, see what happens. If you want to do it towards the end of the season trade while he's still playing, I kind of like that option. Get out while he's really up there and pushing towards the Super Bowl, looking perfect. Because then next in the offseason, you probably will see some kind of surgery or touch and go kind of thing with his elbow. Touch his elbow.
Throw some Tiger Balm on that bad boy.
Yeah, icy hot. But no, he's a quarterback that is known to play aggressive and want to stay in the game. That concerns me that he's going to push himself to the limit. Whether or not it happens early on in the season, I don't think we'll see anything different. But going down the stretch into the playoffs, that's when it concerns me for fantasy.
Yeah, the thing that I'm going to be looking for in their first game is, what does his arm angle look like? Because if his arm angle is different, that means to me that he is dealing with the elbow pain is present and it's affecting him. If we see him drop down a little bit more, like to a 3/4 type of delivery, then that'll be really telling if his elbow is hurting. Because I know from someone that used to pitch and play quarterback, when my arm started to hurt, I would change my delivery to relieve some of that pain. So I'm really interested to watch Stafford in week 1 to kind of see if there's a tell there on how bad this might be, if it's really a thing.
The issue with that is Stafford loves to throw at all angles. Like he's been.
No, I'm saying like if he drops back, he does like a 5-step drop and throws like a basic throw. If there's like a different angle, then that's pretty telling.
Usually the movement and the pressure, you try to relieve it more on your shoulder. You try to push it towards a different joint. So that's where you'll see it. He'll probably shorten his release or something like that. So
just something
do a little bit more check down work to the running backs.
Yeah, to Kyron Williams, who we have a question. So Steve in the chat, Steve Jacobson for Facebook, he asked thoughts on Kyron Williams in this offense. So we got a question with the Rams, so it fits perfect. James, I know where you stand, and I'm actually right with you now because we have heard things about Henderson and Akers. Honestly, when they commented saying we are keeping Kyron Williams out of this last playoff game to hold him because we have big plans for him, I love hearing that. Plus, you don't want your quarterback to get hit. He's the best pass blocker, pass protector in this running back class, in my opinion. He doesn't care how big he is or how small he is. He is going to just stand right there and protect you. I see big upside for Williams for his price, so he could be slated right in this whole entire
fell to the 6th round. Tyler left him for dead.
Fifth round.
Oh, I'm sorry, 5th round.
Henderson, I believe, is also a free agent at the end of the year, so it could be very much Kyron Williams as the 2 next year after Cam Akers. provided Cam Akers gets through the season healthy and all that jazz.
I mean,
I think
utilizing I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think the Rams, like we talk a little bit redraft. I've kind of like downgraded the whole Rams backfield because of the importance of Kyron Williams. Henderson and Akers are both coming off soft tissue injuries. Like, it's a mess. It's a bit of a mess. I think the Rams could be more of a mess than we think. So.
I like Kyron Williams though, and obviously you both know that. I liked him pre-combine all the way through. Tyler gave me a lot of shit saying he was too small and too slow or something along those lines. He weighed too much or weighed not enough. He always came up with some kind of excuse to hate my guys.
I literally said, if he's running that slow, you better hope to God he's powerful, and he's neither. So that was my
showed a little bit more speed at his pro day than the combine, and he did have consecutive 1,000-yard seasons. I'm okay with Kyron Williams in the backfield. If you get a shot at taking him late in startups, or you want to have him as a throw-in, I don't mind it at all. I think the hype is slowly starting to build, and if Darrell Henderson or Cam Akers isn't 100%, which they both are not 100%, we know this. Exactly. If he gets an opportunity on the field, his value is going to increase. So now's the time, with a little piece of news out there in the media. If you want a piece of Kyron Williams, go out and get him now for the cheap.
Yep. And we got a couple more news and notes on tight ends. So this is my jam. So the Houston Texans signed tight end O.J. Howard. He couldn't crack the Bills' loaded 53-man roster. They kept my boy Tommy Sweeney kid. And the Bengals passed on an expected deal. It was all like, O.J. Howard to the Bengals, it's a done deal. But they didn't come to a deal because they claimed Devin Ossie. Oi. Off the waivers from the Patriots after they cut his third round capital. Another wasted draft pick, Bill. Thanks. Dalton Keene, how are you? The translation, it wasn't the most impressive summer for the 27-year-old coming off an Achilles injury, but he landed in an extremely thin tight end group. But my boy Brevin Jordan's there.
Yeah.
I think Houston this is purely a depth signing with maybe they see some upside and they're like, let's take a flyer on a former elite athlete and see what we got here. This doesn't mean anything to me if I roster Brevin Jordan anywhere. He's the guy. The metrics are great for Jordan. I think he could be a breakout tight end this year. O.J. Howard, to me, doesn't impact him whatsoever. What do you think, James?
I think if you have him on your team and you're hoping for a little bit of a spark from Howard, okay, yay, get rid of him. I mean, the guy just did not make 3 NFL teams and wound up on the Texans, who are taking older players as we record this podcast, probably. So I am out on O.J. Howard. The fact that he didn't make Cincinnati, who seemed like they were just grabbing tight ends off the street and putting them on the roster, yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me. Yeah.
Tyler, anything to add on O.J. Howard? Not worth the squeeze, in my opinion.
Not worried. The Bills cut him at $3 million. Like, they're paying pretty much $3 million this year.
Houston probably picked him up for a bag of footballs.
That says a lot to me when the Bills are like, yeah, we'll take the cap hit.
We'll pay you to go away.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate with that injury. It looks like his athleticism has not returned after his promising collegiate career, and obviously the high draft capital just hasn't worked out for O.J. Howard, unfortunately. In the other tight end news, this one hits me so positively because this is my most rostered player in Dynasty. It impacts the Giants, not Ricky Seals-Jones. The Giants released Ricky Seals-Jones with an injury settlement. So he spent most of his Giants career sidelined by a toe injury before landing on IR last week. His settlement, it allowed him to sign to the new team once he's healthy. Cool, he can stay in the league, whatever. He was a cool sleeper last year when Logan Thomas went down and did nothing. So I'm done with Ricky Seals-Jones. Daniel Ballinger, the rookie tight end who, I'm a tight end guy. I have him in probably, I think, almost every single Dynasty league because he was free, Free capital. And when I see a tight end that went to a team that has a very thin tight end room, that is very athletic, he was selected in the 4th round. I'm cool with that, from San Diego State. His collegiate numbers aren't anything super fancy, but I chase the athleticism. The 4th round draft capital is not terrible. And then looking at the depth chart there, it was Ricky Seals-Jones, Jordan Akins, and Daniel Ballinger. And all preseason, there's been a steady drumbeat for Daniel Ballinger looking like the guy. Now, he just had a concussion. He cleared it. He should be good to go for week 1. So I'm going to be interested how many snaps he plays, what he looks like in that offense. And I'm excited because anytime you can pick up a player for nothing and maybe get something out of them right away, it always makes me feel good. So, James, this is right in your backyard. There's no Evan Ingram there anymore.
No.
He's doing great things for Jacksonville, or so I've heard.
He's going to be doing great things in Jacksonville.
Oh, God, here we are again.
No, but I'll keep it for the NYG. Daniel Ballinger, the great thing about him is he doesn't really have anybody behind him. The next guy up is Tanner Hudson. No, thank you.
Ooh, preseason all-star for the Bucks, Tanner Hudson.
But I think Ballinger does enough in this offense. They want to pick up the pace. I don't think he does a lot of pass catching in his rookie year. I think he's going to be used more of a blocker. They do have a highlighted slot wide receiver in Wandale. So I don't know how many routes he's actually going to run, but is someone that I'd like to keep an eye on. And like you said, was free. If he does pop off early, flip him. You get more than what you got him for.
And I do like Dable's usage on tight ends isn't terrible. So like obviously Dawson Knox was in that offense last year, got a lot of red zone targets. Bellinger, maybe he doesn't get a ton of catches and yards in year one, but maybe he gets like 5 or 6 touchdowns.
I don't.
That's positive to me out of a rookie tight end. Like absolutely.
Was
Galladay has cement shoes, so
Was Dable part of the Hernandez Gronk era in the Patriots?
I could vet that for you.
Because I mean, the
I'm
Patriots,
not sure.
it was just all tight ends and stuff. But what we've seen with the Bills is we've seen, Hollister, Jacob Hollister had a couple of games here and there, and Dawson Knox, like they do like to attack with the tight end in the red zone. And Bellinger,
What year was that for?
You're asking the wrong person.
2013.
So for
11?
me, Bellinger is a great. Like right now, he could be on a free agent right now. Go check your rosters.
Yeah,
check what he's available.
2013, New England Patriot assistant coach,
Yep.
and then tight ends coach in 2014.
Oh yeah, so he does know tight ends.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, like that's perfect. Go check your waiver wire because he's definitely a must-add pickup.
Yeah, 100%. And another must-add pickup that's out there on the waiver wire right now that you can rush to go to is TrophySmack.com. Awesomest, bestest, sweetest trophies in all of the land on TrophySmack.com. Most goodest, the bestest. But they've got football if you play.
Not the worstest.
No. So fantasy football, we all know it's here. Go get your trophy now. But if you play hockey, which is going to be coming up in a couple months, you can get a trophy.
Betcha.
Don't you know?
Gosh.
You can get a nice trophy.
So a little hockey
Want a
story.
tater dot hot dish trophy, eh?
I used to work
from the neighborhood from the Minnesota State Fair cook-off.
I used to work at an outdoor rink, and there's a little shop called Shoot and Save that used to be run by some guy that was full-blown northern Minnesotan. You'd walk in and be like, "Oh, hey there, kiddo. You're gonna go out there. I got your skates. We're gonna go sharpen your skates." And you know what? You go shoot, pass, score, do it all. Go out there, kid. You got it.
I just want to sit there and listen to him talk all day.
It was awesome.
Yeah. So if you play fantasy hockey, basketball is going to be starting up here in a little bit. Baseball, boring. But they have trophies for that too. And soccer, everything is completely customizable. Trophy Smack has the right trophy for you, and that's the most important thing. When you use code DHHRing, you get a free $60 championship ring. High quality. It's not cheap. It's heavy. It's awesome when you purchase a trophy or belt. They also have stuff for the losers of your league. So if you're looking for like a toilet bowl, a toilet seat you can hang around your neck because you're a loser, they have that too. Once again, it's code DHHRing for that free ring at checkout. All right, boys, it is time to hate the hype. We are hating the hype.
So
Players that grabbed
right now.
way too much hype this offseason that we see as sells, and why. So I want to start. Let's start with Tyler, the innovator of violence. ECW shout out if you're a wrestling fan. So Tyler, give me the guy that's been hyped up that you're just like, nah, dog, I don't see it. I'm selling him now.
I mean, it's easy. It's Damien Pierce.
Well, yes, your tweets this week tell me that this was very easy.
Oh yes, let's talk about
the
this.
player is fine. He's just fine. But you know what? When you've got
4th round ADP in redraft right now.
Yep, and when you got an I'm going keep trade cut tonight. We're gonna go that for the website. We're gonna use that for ADP. Running back 19 right now on keep trade cut. He's running back 36 at the end of the July.
Doubled his ADP.
Doubled. He's gone up like 50 ADP spots. That's ridiculous. people are telling me I'm crazy thinking that he ain't going to catch passes. You know what? Rex Burkhead's there for a reason. They kept him for a reason. All I saw in the preseason, yes, he had good runs. But you know what? Every time I hit third down, all I saw was Damien Pierce looking at the sideline, waiting for his coaches to wave him onto the sideline as Burkhead ran in. That's all. That's I was like, wow, okay, he's a first and second down grinder on a bad offense. Maybe better than we think, because I do like Davis Mills.
Same.
But I mean, he's a fourth round draft pick. We see this time and time again. I compared him to Samaje Perine. Not quite from a player perspective, but from
situationally
a situation. And what happened was in that draft class, we all faded Alvin Kamara, and we're like, "Oh, this Samaje Perine kid."
I made that mistake. I took Perine over Kamara and Kareem Hunt.
You are not the only one, because it's happening again. So it's not the first time. There's the Royce Freeman, the Monte Ball. There's tons and tons of situations that I could think of that this reminds me of.
Amir Abdullah.
He could be a fine player, but having him in a dynasty league going for 23 first and RB19, I am completely out, and I am very disappointed in myself. I do not have any roster shares of Damien Pierce that I could just flip for nearly.
I have none either.
You can give me a first if you want one.
You can get Kenneth Walker, who is equally valued on Keep Trade Cut. That's insane to me, because Kenneth Walker is an elite talent. He has the draft capital, and he is their future. I've seen Breece Hall for Pierce. Like Pierce has gone 101 in rookie drafts, late season rookie drafts. It's insane to me. James,
the hype is unreal.
James, you were in when he was, a value. What are you thinking now?
I'm selling if anybody's going to give me a first round pick,
and they are.
I mean, I haven't got any offers yet. I guess I should just put them out there a little bit. Yeah, I was drafting him in a 10-team super flex out 206. I picked him up. Can't
third
hate that.
sometimes.
Early third, he was falling, and then slowly he started his rise. And I like him. I like his talent. I know he can catch the ball if he needs to. Can he be a workhorse? I don't know if he can hold up to that and do that. He didn't do that in Florida. So
Michael Perine did. Don't forget about that.
Yeah, but you know what though?
And he was a street free agent.
There's a lot more. Yeah. There's a lot more rookie running backs that come in with hype, just like Damien Pierce, that fail. But yet there are some that do hit. You have James Robinson and James Robinson
was a UDFA. Yeah.
James Robinson. It looked like Brian Robinson.
Elijah Mitchell last year. I think it has a lot to do with team fit and what they want him to do. If he can run like he did in the preseason in between the tackles and shake off defenders and break tackles, then I love him for that. That means if they do get near the end zone, he is probably one of the main go-to players for that offense in the red zone. So I'm okay with that. Maybe inside the 10. But yeah, I don't think he has a lot of competition. Rex Burkhead, always banged up. I mean, he's going to be a third down catch specialist. Go ahead, Rex. See you later. Bye. They let go of Marlon Mack,
and Royce Freeman.
Royce Freeman.
I think Royce and Mack are both on practice squad.
Yeah, Mack definitely signed on the practice squad.
Actually, I think Freeman re-signed because one of their players went to IR.
Possibly.
So I'm
but either way, they were letting them go, and that has something to say about it too. Like, okay, two veterans that have already been in the league that do that job, run between the tackles, couldn't beat out Damien Pierce.
Well, I mean, Pierce is also younger. Yes, he has athleticism. My also big worry is he runs like Thomas Rawls. He runs like his hair's on fire. And we've all seen that happen many times. Yep, 100%. He could have elite 5-game stretch and then injury.
For sure. And I mean,
but that's with all running backs.
That's any running back.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm in if someone wants to buy him from me for a first round pick. Okay.
100%.
Am I selling for a second? Absolutely not. Whether or not you get that first round pick, I don't know. I only have a couple shares. I think I have like 2 or 3 shares. Maybe I'll try to sell one.
Yeah, the hype is out of control. Like in redraft, so I know this is obviously a dynasty, but for context, in redraft, Damien Pierce has started to go in the 4th round, which over Breece Hall in redraft and over other good established running backs in redraft, because the hype train, every year this happens with a handful of players, right? There's an echo chamber, and you get all these, the Matthew Berrys of the world and some of the other big ones, they start to hype up players, and then everyone jumps on this hype train, and it's an echo chamber. And of course, with fantasy football, like if they're wrong, they're never going to say that they're wrong, but they very well could be wrong. This has happened before. When Damien Pierce was drafted in the 4th round, and on this show earlier in the season, or in the summer after the draft, I said that Damien Pierce could be easily replaceable. The Houston Texans are probably going to finish they'll probably have a top 5 pick in each round. They could easily draft a running back in the early 2nd round next year, and Damien Pierce could be a nice player, but I didn't see him as a guy that's going to handle 250 touches. I just don't, because he's never done it. He didn't do it in Florida, and it's not like he had amazing competition there in Florida. I mean, LaMichael Pirine, he was a pretty decent collegiate player, but he was, he didn't stick in the NFL. So to me, Damien Pierce, I would be sell till the day is long, because I think he might be a nice player, but I just don't think he's going to be a long-term player that you can build your team around. And for me, that's why I would hedge the bets and sell and get a 23 first, and then get one of these running backs that's coming out next year, because I think they're way more talented than Damien Pierce is. So that's my spin on Pierce. So James, we're going to move to you. Who is your player that's being hyped up that you're like, ooh, I got to sell now while the strike while the iron's hot?
Oh, strike while the iron's hot. Tyler took one of mine. The other one is Romeo Doubs.
Okay, that's another good one.
All right.
It's Dobbs.
He's the wide receiver 4 right now in that system, or 3.1 if you want to call it, because he's right behind Sammy Watkins.
Well, Sammy's got week 1.
Yeah, that's why I said
touchdowns in week 1, easy.
0.1.
He's already in my DFS lineups.
Yeah, exactly. But so Dobbs is it Dobbs or Dubs or Dubs?
Dobbs.
Officially, yes.
Okay, officially. Makes it. What happens when Rodgers retires in the next year or two? I don't think Rodgers continues. I don't think Dobbs actually has a quarterback that's going to throw
if he's
to him.
on ayahuasca and he has a vision that he's going to play until he's 40.
So
you never know.
After James is done, I do want to counterpoint, because I listened to Pat McAfee's podcast and Rodgers came on. So I'll bring that up after you do your little thing.
I'm just, I'm saying, I think he's got enough hype, and he looked pretty good in the preseason, way higher than he was. I guess he's like a 23 second. You got him in the 3rd round this year, 4th round?
Way after that. It's 4th or 5th, even free.
He fell. Yeah, people were picking him up off the waiver wire. So right now, I think is a good time to get out.
I picked him up in a waiver wire in a league that I'm with you two chumps.
Yeah,
let me have him.
I mean, maybe for good reason.
No, if I would have peaked a little harder, I think I would have.
Yeah, maybe.
I
didn't pay attention to that 6-man league.
I like this. I like this kid a lot. So
I think he has a potential, but I think he's behind Allen Lazard.
Look, it's all
we
about,
still haven't seen Amari Rodgers.
These first 2 players, what's the thing that they have in common?
They're
perceived opportunity.
Yeah.
Perceived. That's what's common. Damien Pierce, the perceived opportunity is that he's going to be the bell cow. The opportunity with Dobbs is that he's going to step up and be a wide receiver 2 with one of the best quarterbacks we've ever seen, albeit douche, Aaron Rodgers. So that's the thing that these first 2 players, it's the perceived opportunity is rising their value, and we don't know if it's there or not.
Yeah. So when I was listening to Pat McAfee, he talked about his trip is what I like to call it.
Drip trip.
The ayahuasca trip.
Yeah. He brings it up and he says, it's life changing. It makes you love things. And after the fact, AJ Hawk came on the podcast and he goes, he seems like he's happy and he loves football again. Now, the big thing is Rodgers came on and said that, they're putting things back in the locker room. The COVID protocols are loose now, and they're bringing tables back in to have the team talk. And he goes, the past 2 years, they've been all on their phones, hanging out in their lockers. Now they're playing card games and hanging out and getting to know each other. He goes, football's back to him. He feels like he is in that football mentality, which was lost the past 2 years of COVID. And he's loving the game again. Now, when it came to the rookie receivers, he talked about Christian Watson, how he's like a gazelle, a deer out there because he's long strides.
Deer in the headlights.
He's 6'5", and he's just tall. He said Samari Torre, he needs to get in the books a little more. So he is like roasting them. But Pat's like, these guys are probably listening to this podcast now because, when Rodgers goes on, they're going to listen. And he talks about Romeo Doubs, and he goes, he's humble. He knows where he's at. And he said the best part about him is he knows that nobody owes him shit in the league. Like, he needs to earn every little bit. And Rodgers even said, he goes, it shows on the field because he is playing his butt off. He's doing well. He's learning day by day. And they're having lunch together, James.
Oh, damn.
So
I had a lunch.
I actually I'd buy
Launch.
I'd be on the opposite end. I'd buy Dobbs. I'd give it 23 second if it was on the later end. That's where I'm at.
Fair enough. I'm going to go with mine. And this, this is the first person that came to mind because he's had another steady drumbeat player, a lot of hype. Now, he's not as valuable as Damien Pierce or Romeo Doubs right now. But, one of the things that brought to mind was there was an interview with Justin Herbert of the Los Angeles Chargers. And they asked him, like, yeah, you got Keenan Allen, you got Mike Williams. Who's going to be the guy that's going to be the breakout guy in the offense this year? And he said Josh Palmer, which I loved because outside of Daniel Ballinger, my boy Josh Palmer is my most rostered player in Dynasty. So I love to hear that. But there's part of me that's like, if Keenan Allen and Mike Williams stay healthy, like Josh Palmer, and they have Gerald Everett. They do target the tight end over 20% in that offense. The corpse of Jared Cook got a 21% target share. We know Austin Eckler and what he can do in the passing game. So to me, it's like Josh Palmer, there's a lot of hype around him. Now, obviously, you're not going to get a second-round pick for Josh Palmer, I don't think.
You should.
Unless someone really, really likes him. Maybe you can. If you can pull a second-round pick for Palmer, I'm pulling the trigger. It's not a hill that I'm ready to die on yet, but he's close to that player that I really, really love. But if someone offered me a second, I would most likely take it. But Palmer, to me, the opportunity is there. Now, the biggest thing we talk about, with Doubs and Pierce, is opportunity for him to step up and be the wide receiver 3. And then if Keenan Allen or Mike Williams goes down with an injury, if that happens, then that is the window.
On and popping.
That's the window that you want to look to possibly sell. If you just think Palmer it's just an opportunity, someone was injured and he's flashing, cool. But I think Josh Palmer fits this. He's been getting hype all off season. There's been numerous articles written up by LA Chargers beat writers about Josh Palmer. Justin Herbert is pumping him up. A lot of smart people in the industry are in on Josh Palmer, especially at his ADP. He's super dirt cheap in startups. You could, in the offseason, Tyler and I made a trade. I traded him a late 3rd round pick for Josh Palmer because Tyler's like, oh, Doug likes Josh Palmer. I need a late 3rd round pick.
It was an early 3rd, and I think it was Tyler Algier is who I draft.
Yeah, which I'm fine with. Like I like Palmer enough, so that worked out for me.
Probably take Palmer.
Now in hindsight, thanks, James. Yes.
You just liked him because his name was Tyler. Let's be honest.
Yeah, that is true. I'm a big Tyler fan.
I also traded you Tyler Higbee once too, I think.
There's a lot of Tylers involved.
Hey, are you interested in Tyler Johnson?
I got Tyler Goodson. You want him?
He's on the Texans now.
Yeah, we didn't have that in the news, James.
No, I know. I was holding back.
Come on. Tyler Johnson to the Texans.
Tyler Johnson to the Texans.
Sneaky little
hit on Nico Collins, I believe, because they're around the same size.
Yeah, different play style though, completely. Tyler Johnson's like Romeo Doubs, big possession guy, but I think Doubs has a little more electricity. Tyler Johnson, even in Minnesota, he was a possession guy through and through.
Nico's like that outside alpha profile.
Nico's the guy that if you're throwing a 10-yard out, he's probably coming down with it.
Mm-hmm. All right, so Josh Palmer for me. We don't need to go lament about it. Let's keep the train moving. I'm more interested in what Tyler and James have to say as opposed to people listening to me druther on.
No, that was a good one. I like Josh Palmer.
That was good. And I mean,
not too much hype now, but beware the hype that is forthcoming.
Yep, and we got to remember, like we play in a lot of industry leagues, but there's a lot of our listeners out there that don't have industry leagues and don't, they don't dabble in podcasts. So if you're listening to us and you got home leagues, you could probably get Palmer for a 3rd, and if you can do that, that is stealing. So if I were you, definitely go check to your owners and see if you can get them for a 3rd, because if so, that is winning.
All right, Tyler, back to you.
I want to save. I'm not going to do any more sells, but I will go a buy, overhyped buy. And that is
more buys than do sells.
That is Isaiah Likely. I think the hype's real. Everything I've seen. I mean, Tyler Huntley targeted him a ton. We know Tyler Huntley only looks at tight ends, just like Doug does. But I'm
an ass guy. What can I say?
But he's one of those guys that he was supposed to be the tight. Tell me if this reminds you of anything. Isaiah Likely coming into the season, people were talking about him as one of the better tight end prospects in this class. It was before McBride came up. Isaiah Likely was like, oh, this guy's super athletic. He's good. He didn't do so hot in the combine. So people are like, oh, okay. And then McBride jumped him. This reminds you a lot of Mark Andrews, who his teams with. Mark Andrews was the tight end talent in this draft class. He gets he gets jumped by Hayden Hurst because the athleticism's unreal and talks about, oh, he's a polished prospect because he's 29 years old already. But but yeah, for me, Isaiah Likely is the guy that's overhyped, but I still think fairly priced in tight end premium, to where if you can give a second tight for Isaiah Likely, I would jump on that, because in tight end premium, especially, you're getting those extra points. And rumor has it, is he is the third passing option in this offense. They're going to use him, in the slot, out wide. They plan on using this guy kind of like a Kyle Pitts. And you know what? If there's one thing that offensive coordinator can do, which we've seen for years and years and years, is take a tight end and use him properly. He can't do anything else right except have a tight end and use him properly. Mark Andrews, LG Crumpler. Hey, Isaiah Likely could be next.
So I've got a good Isaiah Likely story. So I am in an industry league, Bar Tab, which Tyler used to be in. And it's a tight end premium league. And we just had waivers run. We had our rookie auction, back in May. So this is the first time that we've been able to put waivers in. And guess who was available? Isaiah Likely was available. And me being a tight end guy, like my taxi, I got room on my taxi. I was like, I have $240 in my budget. Typically, I think Trey McBride went for like $80. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to put $25 in on Isaiah Likely. And I don't know if that's going to win him or not. But I'm going to hope that it does. And it was by far and away the largest bid of that waiver run. I don't know what the secondary bid for Isaiah Likely was, but I won him for $25. And I couldn't be happier.
That is a win. That's a Tiger Woods fist bump, screaming in the basement type.
Oh, yeah. I was like, what are these guys doing? Maybe they were just gun shy of spending money. But now I have TJ Hawkinson, Pat Freiermuth, and Isaiah Likely on a team where I'm already stacked in my other positions.
I think we like Likely. Most reason is that he was free or almost free. And now I think his value has caught up to what he's produced on the field. If we were getting him in June for nothing.
If we drafted right now in tight end premium with the hype, he would go
he's definitely
late second.
I was going to say
his rostership is definitely raised since we found out about the prospect. Whether or not he performs and builds on that Baltimore Ravens team, because there's a question mark. The question mark is, are they going to throw enough to even entertain the opportunity of having a third target that is fantasy relevant? I don't know. In a tight end room with Mark Andrews leading the charge, I don't know. It's almost like a Noah Gray, Kylan Granson, Adam Troutman type.
Jody Fortson.
The list goes on and on for these backup tight ends that are rookies. I mean, if we have them now, last chance. I don't see Mark Andrews or Rashad Bateman getting beat by Isaiah Likely for targets. Only in the red zone will I think Isaiah Likely actually have.
I disagree.
More value.
Yep, I think Andrews is going to eat in the red zone. Likely could be the between the 20s kind of big play tight end. Mark Andrews also gets a little hurt because he plays a little like Kittle and Gronk. He plays like
an elite tight end.
Andrews goes tough. So that's also another worry. But for me, when you go, okay, let me check this wide receiver depth chart. Ooh, Rashad Bateman. All right, wide receiver one. Devin Duvernay.
But that's the whole thing. That's where I've been there the whole time with Lamar Jackson. That's what I'm trying to say, I think. Because Marquise Brown was the wide receiver 1 on that team. Yet he was the number 2 pass catcher behind Mark Andrews. And then even when they brought in Rashad Bateman didn't really play that much. He only played
Tyler
better
Huntley.
when Marquise Brown was kind of hurt.
But
Tyler Huntley.
once Bateman played, his target share was healthy.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah. Okay.
And also,
yeah.
Tyler Huntley was quarterback for a lot of those games. And
Mm-hmm.
honestly, even in the preseason, we see it. He loves the tight ends. Like, he only throws to the tight ends. Like, that's Tyler Huntley in
Bigger
a nutshell.
wingspan to catch the ball.
That, and it's right in your vision. It's
Yeah.
right smack dab in the
Also,
middle
maybe
of
the
field.
reason likely played on like 12 plays and got 8 targets. Maybe they're trying to bring him up to speed because he is going to have that role.
That could be
Tyler alluded
likely.
to. It very well could be. So, James, let's move on to your next player with the hypeage, the sellage or the buyage. Let me know what
I'm
you
going
got,
to eat off the hype of Julio Jones going to the Buccaneers.
Aged cheese.
And
on
I
that
am
play.
buying
Stinky
Russell
cheese.
Gage
Yes.
on that news.
Russell Gage is
Buzz
so
worn off on Russell Gage.
Yes,
He's
his
injured.
ADP slipped a lot.
He's quietly ready to play week 1 with Godwin still on the bench. I think he has time to show off a little bit, and he will gain value. He always gains value in like the first 4 weeks of the season. I think we were here 2 years ago when I was writing for DHH. I did a piece on Russell Gage when he was with Atlanta. Like, hey, watch out for this guy. He's going to pop. And sure enough, here he is 2 years later, still working with Tom Brady as a quarterback. You can't go wrong. He's going to throw the ball 700 times. I'm in on Russell Gage, and I'm buying. I don't care. I'll give a late second for Russell Gage.
I dig that. So I think that's okay. So Russell Gage. So the other thing too is that the Buccaneers' offensive line has been ravaged. We all know Tom Brady he has the quickest release in the NFL when it comes to holding the ball. He gets it off in under 2 seconds. Who's going to be that guy underneath? Gronk's not there anymore. Are you going to tell me Kyle Rudolph? Julio? Nah, I don't know if I buy that.
The footballers said that, and I thought it was interesting how Julio could play this low-key tight end role because he's big. He's not as fast. They could put him, in the
like
slot,
a big slot, like
a
a
big
Keenan
slot
Allen
type guy, and he could win there and be the guy in the middle.
So you got to bump Russell Gage outside? That doesn't make sense.
For me, I think it's Godwin in the middle, and Gage is going to play outside, which he did in Atlanta, and then you got Mike Evans just.
So let me continue on Gage.
Gobbling up.
So Gage, in redraft ADP, Gage was like a 7th round player just about a month ago, and then he missed all this time. So did Brady because, he was trying to work on his marriage, apparently. No shocker there. So, and now Russell Gage is like a 12th rounder in redraft. So the people are off of Russell Gage. So I think it's definitely a good chance to get back in because I think Gage is a great player. Me and my boy Zach Kruger might be the first people that ever hyped up Russell Gage, like 3 years ago. Not to precede you, James, but we were like in on Gage.
It's all right. You're older.
It's true. So I've been a Russell Gage guy for a long, long time. Me and my boy Zach. So I think he's going to have a good role in this offense, especially if Godwin doesn't make it back for a handful of weeks. And Julio, to me, if you've got Julio on your roster,
I'm getting rid of him.
There's one thing you have to do.
Rid of him.
You got a blessing. If you did not get rid of him last year when he was a Titan and then didn't play and he's still on your roster and you don't move him, shame on you. You're not doing it right. This is how you are a perennial loser by not realizing that an older player just got value. You need to unload him and get something like a 3rd round pick for Julio Jones. If you do that, it's stealing at this point. So make that move.
Don't be a perennial loser.
Don't be a wicked loser. All right. We're going to go into my next one. And let's see. Where could I go? There's so many places. Who's been hyped up? Who don't I want? There's a lot of players that I'm selling, but I'm trying to think like who's gotten a lot of hype here. Should I say Gabriel Davis?
That's bold. And I don't know if you want to, otherwise you're going to hear a knock at your door.
I mean, Doug, while Doug tries to pick out his guy, he may want to go for an underdog. And if you like underdogs, try underdogfantasy.com. Check out the app, use our code DHH, and get $100 matched. Doug, you got your answer?
Yeah, I think I do.
All right.
And it's right in my backyard.
That's right.
It's Ramondre Stevenson.
Is your sell?
Yeah.
As a sell.
I was gonna say a buy, to be honest.
I don't know. So the hype around
This
Stevenson
is a good one. I like this.
has been really, really hot. Now, maybe I'm thinking more for this year because I know next year Damien Harris is a free agent. I love Ramondre Stevenson personally, but is the hype getting? I mean, his ADP is climbing above Damien Harris, and here's the thing: when you chase New England backfield and you think Ramondre Stevenson's going to be the guy, that's when he's not going to be the guy because maybe they involve Pierre Strong, they draft a running back next year, maybe they sign one as a free agent. You can't trust the Patriots to have a guy that's just going to be the guy. Damien Harris, now he scored 15 touchdowns, which is great, and had a nice season. They still mixed in Ramondre. I think Ramondre, people are dismissing Damien Harris, and he's a really good, not only football player, but a fantasy football running back.
Yeah, he's a good running back. Yeah.
So Ramondre, they're preparing him for a third down role. I don't know if I'm buying it. I just don't know if he's going to impact Harris that much. It's really tough for me because I love the player. I loved him when he was more affordable. I don't know if I love him as much as people think he's going to take over this backfield next year and maybe even this year. New England, if there's one thing that they've shown us over the years, it's they never have just one guy, and it's never one guy that touches the ball 70% of the time out of that backfield. It's always some sort of 50-50 or like a 60-40 at most. So as much as I love Stevenson, and I think he's a really good NFL player, and I think he's fantasy relevant, he's more of a flex play for me. I don't know if he's, this year especially, but even going forward, he might be like one of those hard to trust RB2s because I just don't know that New England's prepared to be like, yeah, Ramondre is the guy, and we're going to give him 250 touches. Like, I don't know. It's just that seems a guy that it seems like I'm seeing news reports on like every few days, and the hype is getting up there. Now, if I was going to unload Ramondre Stevenson and someone offered me like a mid-second, 2023 mid-second.
No thanks. I'm keeping Stevenson.
I'm keeping him.
Stevenson for that. Yes.
I need a first for Stevenson.
First?
Yep.
Yes.
Oh, I am spot on this hype then. Like that is a first for Ramondre Stevenson.
If you can sell Ramondre Stevenson for a first,
yeah, obviously.
Because all your information makes a lot of sense. I mean, one of the last hype pieces that came out
running
was
system also not good.
Stevenson is eventually going to leapfrog Damien Harris.
It's not going to happen.
I don't think it ever happens.
Damien Harris
year after year.
Very healthy that often. He gets hurt very easily. We've seen.
I think Ramondre is going to hit that first round pick value much sooner than Damien Harris wears off.
I'm actually buying Damien Harris for a second if I can too, because
you might be able to do that more so than Stevenson.
If you're competing is way worth it because Harris is going to get touchdowns. He's going to get every touch first and second down. And you know what? Like Doug said, he's a good running back. He's a very good running back. He can break long runs too. People don't realize that he may not have the home
he's
run
not
speed.
Sexy.
And he's a free agent next year.
And a free agent. And you know what? There's probably
future
4 or
Atlanta
5
Falcons.
teams. Yep. The thing is a lot of teams these days don't want high draft capital running backs. They want these type of guys that can just come in for a year or two and just
we'll pay you $4 to $5 million.
Scrape the bottom of the barrel. All we need you to do is first and second downs. We'll get this guy Cordell Patterson to catch passes on third down. Boom, you got your running back room.
But you know what's intriguing about Ramondre is that he does do the pass catching work, and the way they held on to James White for years over years makes me want to hold on to Ramondre Stevenson a little bit more.
Doug just said it. He can. Now, Ray, good friend of the show, the guy who's in our intro, always says there's playmakers that catch the ball in the backfields, guys that they actually want to incorporate in the offense like that. And there's guys that can catch passes in the backfield if they have to. And Ramondre's in that type of grouping.
If there was not an injury to Ty Montgomery.
Oh, gross.
You might say gross, but New England loves a versatile player who's cheap that can catch passes and has flashed in the league. If Ty Montgomery didn't go down with an injury, this Ramondre Stevenson hype wouldn't be where it is right now.
I
Now,
I
said
think the
Ballinger.
hype was already there starting last season.
But it increased. It's
But it
been
carried over.
increasing. It's been
So
piling up.
It broke through the ceiling.
I'm not going to get deep into it. I'm just going to say their names. Doug, right with you with your Ramondre. Antonio Gibson and David Montgomery are sells for me, despite the low.
Big time.
I was gonna say there's been no hype there.
Yeah, but despite the no hype for both
I
of
actually
them,
think Montgomery's a
I'm out.
buy.
That's fair.
I
But
mean, you could buy him if you really want him.
Yeah.
I Gibson too volatile.
I don't want any Bear outside of Cole Kmet or Darnell Mooney. Even Darnell Mooney, like if
Or Justin Fields.
No.
Komet.
You don't want Justin Fields?
You don't want Cole
Justin
Komet?
Fields. I want Cole Kmet.
No, he said he wants Komet and Mooney and
Okay.
Dante Pettis. I heard
I heard Pettis too, and I heard
Is Evan Ingram going to the Chicago
former
Bears?
Giant.
I heard
Dante
Amir
Pettis.
Marset too, former Viking, who
Ish.
just signed. By the way, awesome pickup.
That's
He's
a nice pickup.
He is going to get playing time. Watch, he's going to be the.
And they called me and they were like, "Doug, are you available?" And I'm like, "Nah."
I would not be surprised if that kid is
Nah, I don't wanna
is
play for
actually the
Bears.
second wide receiver on that Bears team, because the only issue up here in Minnesota is he had some trouble in the locker room, got some scuffles, and that was a big issue, and that actually kind of helped the Rager trade and them to cut him. So
Yeah, we also had news with the Rager trade this week, going to Minnesota. Yeah.
yeah, special teams. That's
Special
all.
teams.
Special teams and hope.
And how
that-
ironic is it that Jalen Rager and Justin Jefferson are now on the same
it's
roster?
gonna be so fun. So the thing
Jefferson's going to be like 1,800 yards, and Rager's going to be like, "I caught a pass."
that's the thing is Rager
Jefferson
landed
gets re-signed for a
Rager's going to be like,
multi-million
"My
deal,
check
and
is bigger
Rager
than
gets
yours."
350 grand.
So my thing with this is Rager landed in a great spot. You get to learn from Thielen. You're going to learn
Yeah.
from Jefferson, which might be a hit to the ego. But you know what? You got Keenan McCardell, who's awesome with receivers, and he is the wide receiver coach for them. He's going to do it. If Rager can't do it in this group, he's just a bust.
Dunzo. Yeah, unfortunately. All right. Well, we got any other names we want to throw out
I got
there?
a couple
Yeah.
for underhyped buys, and it's Trailon Burks.
Yep. It was mine too.
I bought him in a couple leagues, wide receiver 16 August 6th. Now he's wide receiver 32. His trade value holds, though. That's the thing. His trade value hasn't gone down. It stayed level, but the ADP has changed. Good news is starting to slip through. There's news that he will get play. He will get, they have some offensive plays for him. They want to get him the ball. Yeah, they want to get him the ball. And my other one is Isaiah Spiller. He was RB 32 in July. He's RB 47 now.
Damn it.
His value is holding just like Burks, but the interpretation is his value is actually falling, but it's not.
And I'll jump in on that one with Isaiah Spiller. They added Sony Michel. Spiller is a buy low right now because he was injured a little bit, hurt his ankle. Josh Kelly was named the backup, looked good in the preseason, blah, 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 blah. Isaiah Spiller is definitely a buy low situation right now with an offense that loves to throw the ball. He is a pass catcher, consecutive 1,000-yard seasons, loving it. And I love the opposite appeal on Trailon Burks right now. And I wanted to ask you, and this is funny because in my notes, I have it. Ask Tyler this question. Are we trading Garrett Wilson for Trailon Burks right now?
No. Well, if I'm getting Garrett Wilson 100%.
If you're getting Garrett Wilson.
Oh, yeah.
Why is that? Because we know the Zach Wilson situation is terrible. We know Elijah Moore is there.
It better in Tennessee?
The future appeal of Malik Willis and Trailon Burks together. Where do you stand? How do we know that Garrett Wilson's going to get a ball player to throw him the ball? He can have all the talent in the world, but if the guy can't get it to him, or he's already the second target, they're both second targets on their team right now. Who wins?
Let me check.
You can buy low on Trailon Burks. You can't buy low on Garrett Wilson right now.
Checks 2019. Same thing said for DK Metcalf, AJ Brown. Checks 2020. Same thing was said for Justin Jefferson.
So is this the same situation that we were looking at a couple years ago with DK and AJ?
For me, I actually trust Flacco. I think Flacco can get them the ball.
Yes.
When Zach Wilson comes back, they're going to realize how bad Zach Wilson is. It would not shock me if Wilson gets benched for Flacco at the end of the year.
We all hope he gets benched. We were hoping that he got benched. Like, I'm not hoping that he was hurt for a long time, but not too upset about it.
Also with the Jets, I think they have an earlier pick, and this quarterback class might not be too shabby. So there's a chance they're going to replace him.
But that's
to
a
move
rinse
on in
and
year three
repeat.
from a
It's a
number
rinse
2.
and repeat.
Yeah.
And then Garrett Wilson's still sitting there while Trailon
But
Burks
say-
is getting passes from elite.
But they're going to
you know
bring in his
bombs.
collegiate quarterback to make it all right.
Or
Yeah,
or you
that's what
say,
they'll do.
I mean, we've seen it this year. Quarterbacks can move like crazy. Lamar Jackson has not signed an extension. What if Lamar's on the move? What if they trade Lamar? What if
They
this
go with Tyler Huntley, and I'll be happy.
What if this quarterback class, Anthony Richardson, Bryce Young, what if they end up with a pick like that and they have a mobile quarterback? You know who's used to that? Garrett Wilson. I'm
CJ
okay.
Stroud.
I'm okay with sleeping on this year for Garrett Wilson because I believe he is an elite talent easily. So I'm holding Garrett Wilson.
Right on.
I
But
like
I
that.
am in on
Garrett
buying
Wilson could
Burks
be a buy at
lower
the end
right
of the year.
now.
Yeah,
Mid-year, end of
Because
the year.
next year his value could be through the roof.
Mhm. I've got one for a hyped up player. How about James Cook? I'm just kidding, Tyler.
Who's that?
Actually, personally, he's actually,
I'm shocked
you know-
Tyler didn't bring him up.
Damien Pierce is getting all that hype like
Roses everywhere.
Samaje Perine. James Cook is getting the
Alvin
opposite.
Kamara.
Alvin Kamara. It's the exact same scenario, and I love it.
You love it if it works out.
It will.
I
Don't
love
you put-
it. You know I like.
Don't you
James
put
Cook,
that
though.
evil on me?
But Zach Moss is still there.
Growing
Is he
moss.
though? Yeah.
James, you got any other players you want to throw out there before we wrap it up?
Pacheco, we talked about him a little bit.
Ooh, that's a good
Yeah.
one. That's a really good one.
Out on a
Uh,
second. You guys out on a 23-second?
No, I paid a 23-second for him in a
Okay.
14-teamer.
I would take a second.
I would
in a
probably
10 or
take a
12
second, and also I noticed that Devin Singletary is right next to him. If you're competing, give me Singletary.
Yeah. He's already
Funny,
shown
I
he
have
can do it.
both
Pacheco
of them
could
now
be a
on the
guy
same
that's-
roster.
I mean, if we look at it, it could be CEH, Rojo, McKinnon, Pacheco. I mean, it could be. Like,
It could be.
I think Pacheco's fast, but they trust McKinnon, and Rojo made the team. So to me, that dings Pacheco.
I still can't believe that.
I believe it. I think Rojo's I don't have anything against Rojo. I think he's a decent player.
If you say Rojo's a buy right now, no thanks.
What about JoJo?
Yes, I'm in on JoJo before Rojo, and I think we gotta go.
What about Hojo? Howard Johnson, former Mets third baseman from
Howard
the 80s.
Johnson, the hotels?
Hojo? Yeah.
What about Jordan Howard? AKA Trey Sermon, right?
Trey
Am I
Sermon,
right,
who
Philly?
also signed with the Eagles? James, where's your news at this week? You're missing a bunch of stuff.
Dude, there was so much stuff, man. I wanted
Trey
to get
Sermon
into
to
the
the
meat and potatoes.
Eagles, like
He's literally leaving it up because it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Which is why I'm shocked you talk
what
about
about
Zach
the kid
Moss
on
so
the
much.
Niners? Was it Ben?
I just
Ben
brought.
Mason?
Every time you say James
we
Cook, I'm
picking
just
up
going to
Ben
remind you
Mason?
that Zach Moss is there.
Are you talking
What?
about their fourth running back on the roster?
Why not though? Right?
It's true.
They cut
We-
Jermichael Hasty. They cut Trey Sermon. This kid Ben Mason makes the team.
They
Okay.
love TDP. That's all I'm hearing out of the camp. is
Really?
They love the kid.
I
No,
mean,
that's
if
good to hear.
anything, Elijah Mitchell right now is a buy because
Yeah.
of all the hype around everyone
But
else.
no
which
thanks.
is no, I'm not.
Hey, and if Elijah
Spending the
Mitchell goes
first on
down,
him.
Tevin Coleman's a free agent again, so he can go back to the Niners.
Oh.
Oh god,
And then Jeff. My name's Jeff, and Jeff Wilson.
Jeff
is-
Wilson's there, and he may
Yeah.
be healthy this year, maybe.
Yeah, which somebody brought it up, and I think it's Stefania Bell. She brought it up saying last year, if Jeff Wilson was healthy,
He would have
this
hit.
whole thing with this 6th rounder that we're all
He had
hyped
that
on.
weird freak injury, Jeff Wilson, didn't he? Like
Yeah.
at home or something like that.
He also like 2 years before that he landed on his arm and his arm literally just snapped in half.
Oh, I
on the
remember
field.
that. Yeah, I remember that.
That was Raheem Mostert's good year.
Yeah,
2019. I don't know.
Hey, that's how it goes sometimes.
I honestly think I would not be shocked, and I should see if you could put a prop bet on it in TDP being the running back with the most yardage because it happens every year. I mean, it's
Too fast of turnover.
it's clockwork.
The turnover. Yeah.
We'll
It's a
see what
machine.
happens.
They're a running back machine. They're factory.
The
Yes.
machines.
It's just
But yeah,
pumping
the
them out
Trey
left and
Sermon
right.
news. The Trey Sermon news to the Eagles. Miles Sanders banged up again.
I
Yet
sold him
again.
for a second.
Yeah, I sold him for a second. See ya. Thank you.
I like Miles Sanders, whatever.
I'm out.
You're
I'm
also a
out
big
on
Miles Davis fan too, so
Yeah, Miles Morales as well.
Corey Davis.
Oh, we just went full circle, boys. Pre-pod to on the pod an hour later. Who's the best? You're looking at him. Let's wrap this thing up. Just want to make sure you check out dynastynerds.com as well and go sign up for the Nerd Herd. Use code DHH for 15% off of that subscription. We've given you all the sorts of opportunities to save all the monies, whether you're looking for, the lawnmower, you're looking to join Underdog. There's $100 they're going to match you there. You go on Fantasy Points, you get a discount. You go on Trophy Smack. Like, we are the podcast that is bringing you the deals. So
we're saving them a lot of money.
We are indeed. So make sure you go on iTunes, leave a review. If you don't like our dad jokes, you don't like us trying to be cool, whatever, go listen to something else. I don't care. I am who I am, and I'm not going to apologize. But also on Dynasty Nerds,
like that.
Old dog can't learn new tricks. And when when he's this old.
Yeah, you can't teach. I can't even roll over at this point. On dynastynerds.com, there's also trade tools. So if you're looking to make some trades before the season kicks off, absolutely do it on there. Extra Nerd Herd episode, Prospect Film Room, Prospect Scores, Dynasty GM, lots of awesome stuff. If you're looking for some new threads before the season starts and you want to rep your favorite Dynasty podcast, the Dynasty Happy Hour, not the Matthew Berry Happy Hour, but hey, if you stumbled upon us, thanks for being here. We appreciate it. Cheers to you. Dynasty Happy Hour gear on Viridian Global. That's going to wrap us up this week for Dynasty Happy Hour. When we come back, we will have football games to talk about. We will have things that we're watching. We are going to have results. We're going to be like, wow, this player sucks, or they didn't do anything, and we thought. I love it. The first few weeks of the season are so much fun.
Overstimulation like crazy. We're all going to be exhausted from overstimulation.
I'm going to be knocking porcelain figures off tables. It's going to be crazy. I'm going to be super duper happy. It's the pleats. I got to bring these pants back to the pen store.
Don't act like you're not impressed.
Mr. Burgundy, you have a math. That's all right. I'm wrapping it up. Been Dynasty Happy Hour. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week. Peace.
San Diego.